A woman stopped by unannounced at her recently married son's house. She rang the doorbell and walked in. She was shocked to see her daughter-in-law lying on the couch, totally naked. "What are you doing?" she asked. "I'm waiting for my husband to come home from work," the daughter-in-law said. "I am wearing my love dress." "Love the dress, but you're naked," said the mother-in-law. "My husband loves me to wear this dress," she explained. The mother-in-law left. When she got home, she undressed, showered, put on her best perfume, dimmed the lights, and lay on the couch waiting for her husband to arrive. Finally, her husband came home. He walked in and saw her lying there so provocatively. "What are you doing?" he asked. "This is my love dress," she whispered sensually. "Needs ironing," he said. A mother ant and her daughter were out for a walk in their underground city. They were having a lovely day until they came upon a group of protesters outside the Queen's domain. One, with a sign reading, "It's time to go," spotted them and quickly approached. "Excuse me, ma'am, can you spare a moment to take a look at some alarming literature and help support our cause?" he half shouted at her. The mother held up her hand and tried to pass, but the protester blocked her and continued, "It is imperative that we evacuate the colony. Did you know that the dirt we live in, that we raise our children in, contains magnesium and aluminum, and God knows what else?" Again, she politely but firmly shook her head, pulling her daughter along as the man shouted after her, "You owe it to your little girl to evacuate now!" After they gained some distance, the young ant looked up worriedly at her mother. "Was that man right, Mommy? Are we in danger?" The mother smiled. "No, sweetheart, don't worry. Just because they use big words to try to scare us doesn't mean the anti-vax movement has any idea what it's talking about." A husband and wife who work for the circus go to an adoption agency looking to adopt a child, but the social workers there raise doubts about their suitability, so the couple produces photos of their 50-foot motor home, which is clean and well-maintained and equipped with a beautiful nursery. The social workers are satisfied by this, but then raise concerns about the kind of education a child would receive while in the couple's care. The husband puts their mind at ease, saying, "We've arranged for a full-time tutor who will teach the child all the usual subjects along with French, Mandarin, and computer skills." Next, though, the social workers express concern about a child being raised in a circus environment. This time, the wife explains, "Our nanny is a certified expert in pediatric care, welfare, and diet." The social workers are finally satisfied and ask the couple, "What age child are you hoping to adopt?" The husband says it doesn't really matter as long as the kid fits in the canon. A cheating husband decided to write a letter to his wife. "My dear wife, you will surely understand that I have certain needs that you, as a 54-year-old, can no longer satisfy. I'm very happy with you, and I value you as a good wife. However, after reading this letter, I hope you will not wrongly interpret the fact that I will be spending the evening with my 18-year-old secretary at the Comfort Inn. Please don't be upset. I shall be back before midnight." When the man came home late that night, he found a reply to his letter on the dining room table. "My dear husband, I received your letter and thank you for your honesty about my being 54 years old. I would like to take this opportunity to remind you that you are also 54 years old. I would like to inform you that while you read this, I will be at the Hotel Fiesta with Michael, one of my students, who is also an assistant tennis coach. He is young and virile, and like your secretary, he is 18. You, being a successful businessman with an excellent knowledge of math, will understand that we are in the same situation, although with one small difference. 18 goes into 54 a lot more times than 54 goes into 18. See you in a week's time." One day, a husband telephones his wife, but his daughter answers. "Hello." "Hey, honey, this is Daddy. Is Mommy near the phone?" "No, Daddy, she's upstairs in the bedroom with Uncle Jake." "But you don't have an Uncle Jake, sweetie." Yes, I do, and he's upstairs in the bedroom with Mommy right now." "Okay, honey, I need you to go near the bedroom and shout, 'Daddy's car just pulled into the driveway,' and then come back and call me." A few minutes later, the daughter calls back. "I did it, Daddy." "Well, what happened?" "Mommy got scared, started running around, tripped and hit her head, and now she isn't moving." "Oh, my God, and what about Uncle Jake?" He too got scared and jumped out of the window into the swimming pool. But he forgot you took out the water last week and now he isn't moving as well. Wait a minute. My house doesn't have a swimming pool. Wait, is this 351 to 7,381 inches? A woman wanted to know how her husband would react if she left him. She wrote him a letter saying she is tired of him and didn't want to live with him anymore. She put it on the table in the bedroom and then climbed under the bed to hide until her husband got home. When he eventually came back home, he saw the letter on the table and read it. After a few moments of silence, he picked up the pen and added something to the letter. Then he started to get changed, whistling happy tunes and singing and dancing while he did so. He grabbed his phone and dialed a number. His wife listened from under the bed as he started chatting to someone. "Hey, babe, I'm just changing clothes and then I will join you," he said. As for the other fool, it finally dawned on her that I was fooling around on her and she left. "I was really wrong to have married her. I wish you and I had met earlier. See you soon, honey." Then he hung up and walked out of the room. Heartbroken, she climbed out from under the bed and stumbled over to read what her unfaithful husband had written on the end of her letter. Through teary eyes, she read, "I could see your feet, you idiot. I am going out to buy bread." For several years, a man was having an affair with an Italian woman. One night, she confided in him that she was pregnant. Not wanting to ruin his reputation or his marriage, he paid her a large sum of money if she would go to Italy to secretly have the child. If she stayed in Italy to raise the child, he would also provide child support until the child turned 18. She agreed, but asked how he would know when the baby was born. To keep it discreet, he told her to simply mail him a postcard and write spaghetti on the back. He would then arrange for the child support payments to begin. One day, about 9 months later, he came home to his confused wife. "Honey," she said, "you received a very strange postcard today." "Oh, really? Let me see," he said. The wife gave it to him and watched as her husband read the card, turned white, and fainted. On the card was written, "Spaghetti, spaghetti, spaghetti, 2 with meatballs, 1 without, send extra sauce." A teacher told her young class to ask their parents for a family story with a moral at the end of it and to return the next day to tell their stories. In the classroom the next day, Joe gave his example first. "My dad is a farmer, and we have chickens. One day we were taking lots of eggs to the market in a basket on the front seat of the truck when we hit a big bump in the road. The basket fell off the seat and all the eggs broke. The moral of the story is not to put all your eggs in one basket." "Very good," said the teacher. "Next," Mary said, "we are farmers too. We had 20 eggs waiting to hatch, but when they did, we only got 10 chicks. The moral of this story is not to count your chickens before they're hatched." "Very good," said the teacher again, very pleased with the response so far. Next, it was Barney's turn to tell his story. "My dad told me this story about my Aunt Karen. Aunt Karen was a flight engineer in the war, and her plane got hit. She had to bail out over enemy territory, and all she had was a bottle of whiskey, a machine gun, and a machete." "Go on," said the teacher, intrigued. "Aunt Karen drank the whiskey on the way down to prepare herself. Then she landed right in the middle of 100 enemy soldiers. She killed 70 of them with the machine gun until she ran out of bullets. Then she killed 20 more with the machete till the blade broke. And then she killed the last 10 with her bare hands." "Good heavens," said the horrified teacher. "What did your father say was the moral of that frightening story?" The child said, "Stay away from Aunt Karen when she's been drinking." An elderly woman walked into a store that sold jade but also stocked some produce. She approached the shop owner and said, "I'd like 7 kilograms of potatoes, please." The owner happily started packing them up when she suddenly stopped him. "Oh, and please wrap each one individually." A bit puzzled but obliging, he carefully wrapped every potato. "Anything else, madam?" he asked. "Yes, 4 kilograms of onions, also wrapped individually." Suppressing a sigh, the owner painstakingly wrapped each onion and packed them neatly. "And?" he asked, bracing himself. 7 kilograms of carrots, please." He rubbed his temples. "Let me guess. Individually wrapped? Oh, that would be lovely," she beamed. Gritting his teeth, the owner wrapped each carrot with forced patience. After handing over the heavy bag of meticulously wrapped produce, he hoped that was the end of it. The woman glanced behind him and asked, "Oh, what's in those crates?" The owner turned red. "Madam, those are grapes, and they are not for sale." A distinguished young woman on a flight from Switzerland turned to the priest seated beside her and asked, "Father, may I ask a favor?" The priest, a kind and attentive man, replied, "Of course, my child. What is it you wish of me?" "Well," she began, "I bought an expensive electronic hairdryer that exceeds the customs limits, and I'm afraid they might confiscate it. Is there any chance you could carry it through customs for me? Perhaps under your robes?" The priest thought for a moment and said, "I would love to help you, my dear, but I must warn you, I cannot lie." With a sweet smile, the woman assured him, "With your honest face, father, no one will suspect a thing." When they arrived at customs, the woman let the priest go ahead of her. The customs officer asked the priest, "Father, do you have anything to declare?" The priest answered, "From the top of my head to my waist, I have nothing to declare." The officer was a bit confused and asked, "And what do you have to declare from your waist to the floor?" The priest paused for a moment and replied, "I have a marvelous little instrument designed for a woman, but as of now, it's still unused." The officer couldn't help but burst out laughing and said, "Go ahead, father. Next." A rabbi and a priest meet up after not seeing each other for a year. The rabbi looks the priest up and down and says, "Wow, you've put on some weight." The priest chuckles. "Yeah, I've discovered a new technique. You go to a restaurant, eat as much as you can. When the bill comes, you tell them you already paid." The rabbi raises an eyebrow. "But the waiter won't believe you, right?" "Of course not," the priest replies. "That's when you say, 'How dare you doubt a man of faith?' Works like a charm. You can just walk out." The rabbi strokes his beard. Interesting. I think I'll try this." That evening, the rabbi heads to his favorite kosher restaurant. He feasts on 5 full plates, then waits for the bill. When the waiter brings it over, the rabbi calmly says, "Oh, I already paid." The waiter frowns. "I'm pretty sure you didn't, sir." The rabbi leans in. "You know I'm a rabbi. How dare you doubt a man of faith?" The waiter hesitates, then bows apologetically. "Oh, my mistake, Rabbi. Please, have a wonderful evening." 15 minutes pass, then 30, then 45. An hour later, the waiter notices the rabbi still sitting at the table. Curious, he approaches. "Sir, why are you still here?" The rabbi leans back, folds his arms, and says with a smile, "I'm waiting for my change." The FBI had an open position for an assassin, and after conducting thorough background checks, interviews, and skill tests, they narrowed it down to 3 candidates. They brought the final candidates in to test their abilities. Each one passed the exams with flying colors. For the last test, the FBI agents led the first man to a large metal door and handed him a gun. "We need to know that you will follow orders no matter the circumstances," they explained. "Inside this room is your wife sitting in a chair. Your task is to kill her." The man stared at them in disbelief. "You can't be serious. I could never shoot my wife." The agent sighed. "Then you're not the right person for the job. Take your wife and go home." The second man was given the same instructions. He entered the room with the gun, and after about 5 minutes, he came out with tears in his eyes. "I tried," he said, "but I just couldn't do it." The agent shook his head. "You don't have what it takes. Take your wife home." Finally, the last candidate, a woman, was given the same instructions. She entered the room with the gun. Moments later, they heard multiple shots, followed by crashing and loud banging on the walls. After a few minutes, everything went quiet. The door creaked open, and there stood the woman, drenched in sweat and looking exhausted. "Some joker loaded the gun with blanks," she said, panting. "I had to do it the hard way." A young woman, heartbroken and jobless, heads to the docks in Manhattan with plans to end her life. She feels like she has nothing left, no friends, no family, and is ready to jump into the water. Just as she's about to do so, a handsome young sailor yells, "Stop! Don't do it!" She turns to him and says, "I have nothing in this world. What's the point of living?" He responds, "I understand. Life can be rough, but listen to me. Don't throw it all away without giving it a chance. I'm leaving tomorrow on a ship to Europe. I know a stevedore who can help. I'll sneak you aboard, and we can start a new life. You'll make me happy, and I'll make you happy. It doesn't have to end like this." She agrees, and that night they meet in secret. The sailor helps her stow away in a lifeboat below deck. He brings her food and blankets, and for 3 weeks they meet in the dark, sharing sandwiches, talking, and making passionate love each night. However, after 3 weeks, the captain comes down for a routine inspection. He hears rustling coming from one of the lifeboats and pulls back the tarp to find the woman hiding inside, trembling in fear. "What are you doing here?" he demands. She explains, "I'm a stowaway. A sailor helped me get on board, and he's been bringing me food and smuggling me into the lifeboat. He said we'd start a new life in Europe." "And?" asks the captain. She looks up nervously and says, well, he's been screwing me." The captain sighs and says, "Lady, he sure is. Welcome to the Staten Island Ferry." My 18-year-old daughter was in her bikini in the garden today. My wife said, "Oi, why are you staring at Katie's breasts?" I said, "I'm not." Then Katie said, "What are you two fighting about now?" I said, "Nothing, love, just get back on your pogo stick." At a crowded bus stop in the city, a beautiful young woman stood waiting for the bus. She was wearing a tight leather miniskirt, matching leather boots and a jacket. As the bus arrived, she tried to step onto the first step, but her skirt was so tight she couldn't lift her leg high enough. Slightly embarrassed, she smiled at the bus driver, then reached behind and unzipped her skirt a little, thinking it would give her enough slack to make the step. She tried again, but still couldn't get her leg up. Feeling more embarrassed, she unzipped the skirt a little more and attempted the step again. Still no luck. She smiled coyly at the bus driver, then unzipped the skirt once more, trying again, but still couldn't manage the step. At that moment, a big Texan standing behind her picked her up by the waist and gently placed her on the step of the bus. She immediately spun around and yelled, "How dare you touch me? I don't even know who you are." The Texan, looking calm, drawled, "Well, ma'am, normally I'd agree with you, but after you unzipped my fly 3 times, I figured we were friends." Not long ago, a woman decided to test her husband's reaction by leaving him a letter. She wrote that she was tired of him, didn't want to live with him anymore, and was leaving. After writing the letter, she placed it on the table in the bedroom and crawled under the bed to hide, waiting for him to return home. When her husband came in, he saw the letter, picked it up, and began reading. After a long pause, he picked up a pen and added something to the letter. Then he started getting dressed, whistling and humming happily as he did. He grabbed his phone, dialed a number, and began chatting. "Hey, babe," he said, "I'm just changing clothes, then I'll join you. As for the other fool, it finally hit her that I was fooling around and she left. Honestly, I shouldn't have married her. I wish we had met earlier. See you soon, honey." He hung up the phone, whistling again, and walked out of the room. The wife, heartbroken and in tears, crawled out from under the bed to read what her husband had added to her letter. Through blurry eyes, she read, "I could see your feet, you idiot. I'm just going out to buy some bread." 2 men are driving through Texas when they get pulled over by a state trooper. The trooper walks up and taps on the window with his nightstick. The driver rolls down the window, and whack, the trooper smacks him in the head with the stick. The driver says, "What the heck was that for?" The trooper says, "You're in Texas, son. When we pull you over, you better have your license ready when we get to your car." The driver says, "I'm sorry, officer, I'm not from around here." The trooper runs a check on the guy's license, and he's clean. He gives the guy his license back and walks around to the passenger side and taps on the window. The passenger rolls his window down and whack! The trooper smacks him with the nightstick too. The passenger says, "What did you do that for?" The trooper says, "Just making your wish come true." The passenger says, "Huh?" The trooper says, "I know that 2 miles down the road you're going to say, 'I wish that bastard would have tried that bull with me.'" I am old, and I just realized I still have so many unanswered questions. I never found out who let the dogs out, where's the beef, how to get to Sesame Street, why Dora doesn't just use Google Maps, or why eggs are packaged in a flimsy paper carton but batteries are secured in plastic that's tough as nails. I know why women can't put on mascara with their mouth closed. Why, abbreviated is such a long word. Why lemon juice is made with artificial flavor, yet dishwashing liquid is made with real lemons. Why they sterilize the needle for lethal injections. And why do you have to put your 2 cents in, but it's only a penny for your thoughts? Where's that extra penny going to? Why do the alphabet song and Twinkle Twinkle Little Star have the same tune? Why did you just try to sing those 2 previous songs? And just, what is Victoria's Secret? And do you really think I am this witty? I actually got this from a friend who stole it from her brother's girlfriend's uncle's cousin's babies, mama's doctor who lived next door to my old classmate's mailman. Now it is your turn to take it from me. Peace. While in China, a man is very sexually promiscuous and does not use a condom all the time he is there. A week after arriving back home in Sydney, he wakes one morning to find his stool covered with bright green and purple spots. Horrified, he immediately goes to see a doctor. The doctor, never having seen anything like this before, orders some tests and tells the man to return in 2 days for the results. The man returns a couple of days later, and the doctor says, "I've got bad news for you. You've contracted Mongolian VD. It's very rare and almost unheard of here. We know very little about it." The man looks a little perplexed and says, "Well, give me a shot or something and fix me up, doc." The doctor answers, "I'm sorry, there's no known cure. We're going to have to amputate your tool." The man screams in horror. "Absolutely not. I want a second opinion." The doctor replies, "Well, it's your choice. Go ahead if you want, but surgery is your only option." The next day, the man seeks out a Chinese doctor, figuring that he'll know more about the disease. The Chinese doctor examines his tool and proclaims, "Ah yes, Mongolian VD, a very rare disease." The guy says to the doctor, Yeah, I already know that, but what can we do? My doctor wants to cut off my tool." The Chinese doctor shakes his head and laughs. "Stupid Australian doctor, always wanting to operate. Make more money that way, no need to amputate." "Oh, thank God," the man exclaims. "Yes," says the Chinese doctor. "Wait 2 weeks, fall off by itself." Max starts work at the zoo. His first job is to clear the weeds from the pool. In doing so, he is startled by some of the fish and lashes out with his fork. He stops thrashing about when he notices several fish floating belly up on the surface. He immediately thinks that the boss won't be terribly impressed if he sees the damage, and after a bit of thought, decides to chuck the dead bodies into the lion's cage, as he reasons that lions will eat anything. He is proved correct when the lions immediately wolf the fish down. His next job is mucking out the chimpanzees, and he finds himself under attack by a couple of them. Again, he lashes out with his fork, and 2 wind up dead on the floor with the others up the trees. He chucks the bodies into the lion's cage, and the lions get rid of the evidence for him. His last job in the morning is to collect the honey from the beehives. The bees swarm and go for him. He splatters the bees all over the floor, sweeps them up, and he chucks them into the lion's cage. That afternoon, a new lion arrives at the zoo. The new lion walks up to one of the resident lions and asks, "What's the food like here, mate?" The resident lion says, "It's smashin', old boy. For instance, this morning we had fish and chips and mushy bees." Maria had just gotten married, and being a traditional Italian, she was still a virgin. On her wedding night, staying at her mother's house, she was very nervous. Her mother reassured her, "Don't worry, Maria. Tony's a good man. Go upstairs and he'll take good care of you. Meanwhile, I'll be making pasta." So up she went. When she got upstairs, Tony took off his shirt and exposed his hairy chest. Maria ran downstairs to her mother and says, Mama, Tony's got a big hairy chest." "Don't worry, Maria," says the mother. "All good men have hairy chests. Go upstairs, he'll take good care of you." So up she went again. When she got up in the bedroom, Tony took off his pants, exposing his hairy legs. Again, Maria ran downstairs to her mother. Mama, Tony took off his pants, and he's got hairy legs." "Don't worry, all of the good men have hairy legs. Tony's a good man. Go upstairs, and he'll take good care of you." So, up she went again. When she got there, Tony took off his socks, and on his left foot he was missing 3 toes. When Maria saw this, she ran downstairs. Mama, Tony's got a 1.5 feet. Her mama frantically said, "Stay here and stir the pasta." There were 3 men working at the top of a building. One was Chinese, one was Mexican, and the other one was Polish. At lunch, they went to the edge and the top of the building. The Mexican guy pulled out a taco and said, "If I get another taco tomorrow, I am going to jump off this building." The Chinese guy pulled out fried rice and said, "If I get fried rice tomorrow, I'm going to jump off with you." The Polish guy pulled out a ham sandwich and said, "If I get another ham sandwich, I'm going to jump tomorrow with you guys, too." The next day, the Mexican guy got a taco, so he jumped off the building. The Chinese guy got fried rice, so he jumped off. The Polish guy got a ham sandwich, so he jumped off. The next day, their wives had a triple funeral. The Mexican guy's wife was crying, and she said, "I could have made him a burrito or something." The Chinese guy's wife was cringing and said, "I could have made him some sushi." The Polish guy's wife couldn't stop laughing. The others asked her what she thought was so funny, and she replied, "My husband always made his own lunch." A group of girlfriends are on vacation when they see a 5-story hotel with a sign that reads, "For women only." Since they were without their boyfriends or parents, they decide to go in. The desk clerk, a very attractive guy, explains to them how it works. "We have 5 floors. Go up floor by floor, and once you find what you are looking for, you can stay there. It's easy to decide, since each floor has signs telling you what's inside." So they start going up, and on the first floor the sign reads, "All the men here have it short and thin." The friends laugh and without hesitation move on to the next floor. The sign on the second floor reads, "All the men here have it long and thin." Still, this wasn't good enough, so the friends move up to the third floor, where the sign reads, "All the men here have it short and thick." This was still another disappointment, but knowing there are still 2 floors left, they move on to the next floor. On the 4th floor, the sign was perfect. "All the men here have it long and thick." The women get all excited and are going in when they realize that there is still 1 floor left. Wondering what they were missing, they go to the 5th floor, where the sign reads, "There are no men here. This floor was built only to prove that it is impossible to please a woman." The only cow in a small Kentucky town stopped giving milk. The people did some research and found that they could buy a cow just across the state line in Illinois for $200. They brought the cow from Illinois, and the cow was wonderful. It produced lots of milk all of the time, and the people were very happy. They decided to acquire a bull to mate with the cow to produce more cows like it. They would never have to worry about their milk supply again. They bought the bull and put it in the pasture with their beloved cow. However, whenever the bull tried to mount the cow would move away. No matter what approach the bull tried, the cow would move away from the bull, and he could not succeed in his quest. The people were very upset and decided to ask the vet, who was very wise, what to do. They told the vet what was happening. "Whenever the bull tries to mount our cow, she moves away. If he approaches from the back, she moves forward. When he approaches her from the front, she backs off. An attempt from the side. She walks away to the other side." The vet thought about this for a minute and asked, "Did you, by chance, buy this cow in Illinois?" The people were dumbfounded, since no one had ever mentioned where they bought the cow. "You are truly a wise vet," they said. "How did you know we got the cow in Illinois?" The vet replied with a distant look in his eye. "My wife is from Illinois." A police chief, a fire chief, and a city manager were traveling together by car to a municipal management conference in a distant city. Their car broke down in a rural area, and they were forced to seek shelter for the night at a nearby farmhouse. The farmer welcomed them in, but cautioned them that there were only 2 spare beds, and that one of them would have to sleep in the barn with the farm animals. After a short conference, the police chief agreed to take the barn. Shortly after retiring, a knock was heard on the door of the farmhouse. The party inside answered to find the police chief standing there, complaining that he could not sleep. There were pigs in the barn, he said, and he was reminded of the days when everyone called him a pig. The fire chief then volunteered to exchange with the police chief. A short time later, another knock was heard at the door. The fire chief complained that the cows in the barn reminded him of Mrs. O'Leary's cow that started the Chicago fire, and that every time he started to go to sleep, he started to have a fireman's worst nightmare. that of burning to death. The city attorney, in desperation for sleep, then agreed to sleep in the barn. This seemed like a good idea until a few minutes later, when another knock was heard at the door. When the occupants answered the door, there stood the very indignant cows and pigs.